Welcome to What a Creep, the show with Margot Donohue and Sonia Mansfield talking about creeps from the past to the present.
This is your quick guide to the biggest creeps, jerks, assholes, and losers, the best of the worst.
From two nice ladies who want the world to be a little less creepy.
Welcome back to What a Creep. This is Margot Donohue, and my cohort in creepitude, as always, is the amazing Sonia Mansfield. Hey, Sonia.
Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend. We are the podcast that talks about creeps from the past to the present. We have a hell of a show today. We want to put our fists in the air and yell, strike, 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 for all the people we support.
Pencils down.
Pencils down, y'all. Let's do this. But before we get there, let me say just very quickly, you can follow us on Facebook. We do have a basic Facebook page, That's where people go to complain about our language. We use salty language in this program, so remember that if you have kids in the car.
Yeah, fucking deal with it.
Children, this is the time to learn. Anyway, we are very interactive in our Facebook group, very much so. So you type in What a Creep podcast group and ask to join. And we have a few questions. If you answer the questions, you can come on in. The whole thing is just don't be a creep, but we talk about creeps from the past to the present. We also talk about positive things in there too. We're just like a nice little group in Facebook. We're on Twitter at CreepPod because somebody had What a Creep on Twitter for over 10 years and never used it.
Creep.
We're also on Threads now.
We're on the Threads.
We're on the Threads. I think Sonia's taking care of that for me. Maybe.
I'm trying.
We're on Instagram, What a Creep Podcast. And we have an old-timey email, whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. If you would like some stickers, send us your address wherever you are in the planet of Earth. We will send you stickers. Also, a great place to send us suggestions for creeps and for non-creeps. And usually we have a hard time finding non-creeps. This episode, I think it's going to be a nice all-encompassing episode because it's pretty much the same topic we're talking about. I'm super excited about it. Sonia, do you want to give them a quick rundown about our website?
Yes. Go to whatacreeppodcast.com and it's everything you ever wanted to know about our podcast. But we're afraid to ask. You shouldn't be afraid to ask, but just in case you are. There are links to all of our past episodes, and in each of those posts are our show notes. We believe in paying writers, so we pay for a lot of our sources. So if you want a deeper dive, all the sources are there. Read up, study, learn, make mistakes, get messy. Anyway, they're all there. There's also a link to our merch shop where you could get t-shirts and tote bags and journals and face masks and all kinds of good stuff. So please do that. There's a link to our... What was the other thing? Oh, our Substack is on there.
Yes, our Substack is lit.
If you want to sign up for our Substack, please do that. That's where we send out our monthly newsletter. And there's a link to our Patreon page. You want to tell them about that, Margot?
I want to say first, thank you to Victor, who liked the Substack so much. I think he sent us some money. I think.
Oh.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Victor. He's also in our Patreon group. We're very loyal to people in our Patreon group. We're loyal to all of you, just so you know. But if you wanted to help us out a little bit, we're not on a big network or anything like that. So all this really helps us out with the sources, but also the software just to put this podcast together. So I want to thank Jennifer for joining the Patreon page. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We put out 2 bonus episodes there every month. Plus we have our first 8 seasons are behind the Patreon wall.
8
seasons. And people were asking recently about Woody Allen. I'm like, boop, up on that Patreon wall.
Yep.
So if you want to listen to it, that's where it is. And thank you so much. But if money is tight, look, we're talking about striking people. We get that. If you could just tell a friend about the show or leave us a positive review wherever you have your podcasts or keep your podcasts or listen to your podcast. I'd like to thank on iTunes. We had 5-star reviews from NLC 0492 and from Blue Ruffian. Thank you so much, especially iTunes. They tend to give you better placement if you have the more stars on your podcast. I don't know why, but they just do. Also, thanks to Good Pods. We've been rating really well with Good Pods and their top 100. And Spotify, y'all are listen to us on Spotify. I'm trying to be better about leaving questions and stuff to leave it engaging. Our content is to engage. Or seriously, ask for stickers. Stick it on your damn laptop and go to the coffee shop. Or just tell a friend about the show. Or just enjoy it.
Or just enjoy it. You do you, boo.
Right.
You do you.
We got your back. All right. Let's get to it. We are talking about what, Sonia? What is this is, in case you're wondering, what we usually do, what we normally do is one of us talks about a creep and then the other one comes up with a non-creep. This is kind of a combo because we're both going to talk together at the end about non-creepy places you can help out. But let's talk about this strike because everyone's talking about this strike.
Yes, we are going to be talking about what I guess now is being referred to as the Hollywood strike. It started as a writer's strike. Now the actors have joined in. So hence the Hollywood strike. We're going to be talking about the, oh my God, where's the name? Here we go. Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers are kind of the creeps in this situation. So this episode's a little different. So bear with me as I get through my little script here. I'm sure mostly everyone knows the Writers Guild went on strike over 2 months ago. Last week, the Screen Actors Guild voted to join them. This is the first time the two unions have been on strike together in more than 60 years.
Wow.
I know. What's up with that? So movie and television studios have reported record profits. They're making billions.
Billions with a B?
Billions. Billions. But the workers who make these profits possible are not getting their fair share. And if you're thinking, writers and actors are making bank, you're mostly wrong. There are some writers and some actors who are making bank, but a majority are not. So we're going to talk about it. This episode's a little different than our usual episode. Like Margot said, I'm going to explain like who the players are, what the strike's really about, why we should be supporting it, because the Alliance for Motion Picture and Television Producers, that's the AMPTP, just rolls off the tongue. They're the creeps in this. They're the creeps in this situation. Sources for this episode: Deadline, The Guardian, IndieWire, Los Angeles Times, New York Times. Pop Sugar did a really good wrap up. Vox, Vulture, Washington Post. Why We Strike, which is on the Writers Guild website. Also, just the Writers Guild website, and of course, always Wikipedia. I'm always poking around on Wikipedia. So, let me introduce the characters here. The Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. They represent over 350 like television and film production companies. So this is like Amazon Studios, Apple, Disney, NBC Universal. I'm not going to name all 350. Sony Pictures, Paramount, Warner Brothers, Fox, Netflix, like all the biggies. This group represents all of them in like collective bargaining with entertainment industries like the Directors Guild, the Writers Guild, the Screen Actors Guild, and the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. I know this is a lot and there's a lot of acronyms, so y'all bear with me. The Writers Guild is a labor union. It represents about 20,000 writers in film, TV, documentaries. A lot of people forget documentaries have writers. You know, even reality shows have writers, y'all.
Yep. News,
animation, video games, what they like to call new media also has writers. Then there's SAG AFTRA, which is the Screen Actors Guild, and the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, which merged in 2012. And they are a union that represents over 160,000 media professionals. And the current president is the nanny herself, Fran Drescher. Just saying.
I always think of her as in Spinal Tap. You don't talk so much.
And she's in Saturday Night Fever.
Yep.
Yes. So what's the strike about? Like, here's the top level. Actors and writers, they're both asking for an increase in their base pay, a greater share of earnings from shows that are on streaming services. This is known as residuals. They also both want like protections against artificial intelligence that could come and replace their jobs. They took our jobs.
Yeah.
This is a thing. So we're going to talk about residuals. This can be a little technical and people may not know what this is. So when TV shows and movies are re-aired, like when you watch Friends on TV or The Simpsons in syndication, production companies get money from advertisers And then the folks who worked on the show get residual payments from that production company. That's how that works. And this is why syndication used to be a really big deal. This is why shows would be like, oh man, we just want 5 seasons. 5 seasons, you know, because it gets you like over 100 episodes, and then you're more likely to get syndication. And then your show will start repeating on like TBS and TNT and USA, Comedy Central. And it meant that you were going to get a share of the profits from that show. Like you would get checks for years. Like,
Yeah.
a good example would be Friends. Like Friends is a great example. They get so much money from being on syndicated television, not from streaming. Because now with streaming, they don't have that advertising money. It's about monthly or annual subscriptions. It's not about advertising. So, and contracts for writers and actors don't include that. Not really. It's mainly syndication money, rerun money, and the contracts have not been updated for like streaming, basically. Like there's an entire generation of people who like love The New Girl, the sitcom The New Girl.
Right.
It's like their comfort show and they rewatch it like a million times. The writers and actors, they hardly get any residuals for that because they mainly watch it on like Netflix or something. So like there was where's a good one? Kimiko Glenn. She was on a show called Orange is the New Black. One of the first shows to get fucking huge from
Netflix
streaming. It's never been on network television. Like it's only on streaming. She recently shared a video where she got a residual check for $27.30.
Jesus Christ.
That show has
huge.
been on it's huge. It's like, I know people aren't like, "Oh, I still watch Orange is the New Black," but it was the new hotness for a while. It was the show that like showed that Netflix was going to do original programming, and it was insanely popular. It won tons of awards. $27.30. Another good example. There's this actor, Mark Provech, I think is how you pronounce it. You might know him now. He's on a show called What We Do in the Shadows.
Yes.
He's so funny. He's the energy vampire.
Yes. Okay. I love him.
He is so fucking funny on this show. Anyway, he did 1 season of The Office. He makes so much. He makes way more money from his 1 season guest starring, not even in the regular cast, guest starring from The Office than he has made in 5 seasons of What We Do in the Shadows.
And that's with FX, and they do have commercials.
Yes.
When it ran on FX.
But it like runs once on FX and then it's like on Hulu for.
But they still have commercials. That's like, I'm sorry, but some of them still do have commercials.
Yeah.
So this is some bullshit.
Yes. It's a loop, right? It's a loophole in the system. Like they don't have to pay them for it. Another recent story that came out was a writer for The Bear. Oh, we love The Bear
yes,
here.
We do.
Love The Bear. It's a writer named Alex O'Keefe. He was working on the show. He had a small Brooklyn apartment. He said there was no heat. The space heaters like blew a fuse. He actually had to work from the public library. The show won a writer's... What?
I would have seen him. That's my library.
You would have. So he won the Writers Guild Award for like best comedy series. At the time, he had negative money in his bank account. He had to buy a tuxedo on a credit card.
Jesus.
Like, you know, unrelated. This wasn't even in my show notes. One of my oldest friends has directed all the Sharknado movies.
Stop bragging.
A humble brag. But like after the first one aired, like it was huge and like all these celebrities were tweeting about it. And he called me the next day and he saw, "This is bananas." He saw, "I have like $200 in my checking account. I'm so poor."
Oh my God.
Like, I don't know if his situation has changed since then, but I was like, isn't that bananas?
It's
As
bananas to be
bananas
that
are.
famous and not have money, because people do assume you have money and they'll charge you
Yes.
way more for things. And yeah.
Yes. So both, and this is like both actors and and writers, like they get pennies in like residual checks for like their streaming work, the work that's on there. Again, it could be streamed millions or billions of times. It doesn't matter. And they will get like pennies. So, if anything, like we should all be aware that television writers and actors are not just they're not like Scrooge McDuck. They're not like just diving into piles of money. Like this
And
is
rolling
not a
around
thing.
in it. Right.
Yeah. So like for acting, SAG's health insurance, you have to make a little over it's like $26,470 per year. That's how much you have to make to qualify for health insurance. 87% of Screen Actors Guild members do not qualify
Oh my God.
for health insurance. Isn't that bananas?
Oh my God.
87% of them. Like, it's, by the way, I was curious and I looked it up. So the annual salary, if you make minimum wage and you work 52 weeks 52 weeks every day,
Right.
like 40 hours a week, 52 weeks is $15,000.
Oh my God.
So,
And we haven't raised our minimum wage in so many years.
yeah,
Right.
yes. Another writer said, her name is Kira Jones, and she wrote for Hulu's shows Woke, and she also wrote for a show called Queens. And she said that a lot of writers live on food stamps. They collect unemployment. They move in with their parents. She said it is like, it's unsustainable.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
It's not.
and
Yeah.
Somebody on the Why We Strike page that I share in the show notes said that they worked on a comedy variety show for Netflix that was trending in their top 10. They received a residual check for $800. And she said, compare this to a show I wrote in 2013 on basic cable that did not rerun that frequently, where she made thousands of dollars.
Wow.
Like, this is a big deal. This is how they make their money. And also, to be clear, like, these types of strikes are actually really common when there is a change in how movies and TV shows are distributed. So, like, there was a huge strike in 1960 because writers weren't getting a share of the profits when movies were aired on television. And then in 1973, there was a strike because cable, like, people weren't getting money when the shows and movies were shown on cable. And then in the 80s, it happened again, and it was over home videos. So
Right.
it shouldn't be that surprising that this is happening, because the last time they went on strike, the writers only went on strike in 2008. And if you might all remember, your talk shows were super awkward and weird at the time. There's like footage of like Conan O'Brien like spinning his wedding ring on a desk and everybody's watching. Like they had no writers. They renegotiated their contracts, but like streaming was not all the rage at this point. This is when you would still get like DVDs in the mail from Netflix.
That's
like,
why Netflix started. Right.
Yeah, like you might have a TiVo, but streaming wasn't a thing. So it's kind of time. It's time for them to renegotiate this stuff. There's also the issue of like something they call mini rooms, which I had never heard about. So this was interesting to me. So writers' rooms for TV shows, are like these ideas where people go and they like brainstorm and they pitch ideas and they outline episodes and workshop like whole seasons of TV shows. And the number of people who are in those rooms and how long people work in those rooms, that sounded wrong. It makes it sound like they lock them in a room together or something. But like how long they are employed on this project would depend on, how long the show's on the air and things like that. And it was like 7 to 10 writers, and it could last as long as 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now they have this idea of a mini room. It's also known as like a development room. And apparently this is relatively new. They'll hire like 2 to 3 writers to pair up with a showrunner. And the contracts are like, well, I don't even think they get a contract, but it's like 2 months, maybe 3 months. And they map out like a whole season of a TV show. So, and sometimes these shows aren't even greenlit yet.
Right.
So they're putting together an entire season in like half the time. The show maybe hasn't even been picked up. They're paid less. They're paid like the union minimum for this work. And it could be that all the work they did doesn't turn into anything. So they can't even put this project on their resume.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And I'm like, it's fucked up. And then, so they're paid union work and they get paid union minimum and they don't get that experience of like working in a writer's room and being on the set.
Right.
As well. So that means that these writers don't get the experience to move up the ladder and become showrunners themselves. And so I was poking around, like David Chase creates The Sopranos, but he started as a writer on the Rockford Files.
Yeah.
Vince Gilligan, who did Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, he used to work on the X-Files. Matthew Weiner, Weiner, created Mad Men. He used to write for Becker on CBS.
Yeah.
Like, you get the idea. This is where they start. So, like, the studios now are getting, like, a full season breakdown of these shows, and they're paying, like, the bare minimum to get it. And this is why the Writers Guild now is pushing for, like, a minimum staffing requirement on shows.
Yeah, because people get worn out. I mean, they're doing all that work, and it's far, and this is happening at companies across in every sector. They want less people to do the most amount of work, and if you just break down and you quit, they'll just throw somebody else in there. But this is going to hurt the product in the long run.
Yes.
Yeah, I want Breaking Bads to watch. I want the really good shows. Yeah.
And this is true, by the way, everywhere too. And so if you're like, why does this matter to me? Because it fucking matters, because this is how it's working everywhere. And like, this is true in tech. Like, nobody wants to hire. They want to hire you on like a freelance contract basis, because then they don't have to pay for your benefits. You have no guarantees. You have no protections.
They want gig work.
Yes, gig work. They're turning these people into like Door Dashers, into Ubers, into Lyfts. You know, it's like, that's not what this should be. So it's shitty. And then we're going to talk about AI too, which impacts both writers and actors. And again, it's going to impact all of us. So writers are asking for things like ChatGPT to only be used as a tool for like research and like helping facilitate ideas for scripts, not to replace them, which, yes, please. They have proposed like some regulations. You know, they want to prevent AI from writing. I'm going to put that in quotes, writing or changing material. They could take the work that people do and just feed it into this machine, and it could just spit out this garbage, basically. And then, but it still has like your name on it.
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, and just to be clear, y'all, like AI, ChatGPT, things like this, which we're all tinkering with in my line of work as well. It doesn't have heart or empathy. It doesn't think about accessibility or an inclusion. It's not creative.
No.
It's not funny, just saying. You know, if AI writes scripts, which is what a lot of these studios are talking about now, like, we'll just replace you and get AI to write scripts. It's only because it takes the scripts of hundreds, if not thousands of other people.
Right.
And repurposes it.
Which is plagiarizing.
Yes, it's copyrighted scripts, which is something Sarah Silverman is suing for. And I think everybody should get in on that, because they're stealing copyrighted work is what they're doing. And these original writers are not going to get paid for that.
Right.
this is a big deal. And then on the actor side, the actors union has asked again, like for some sort of regulation, because studios are now proposing that they could just start scanning, like, here's one of their suggestions, is scanning background performers' images and paying them for half a day's work. And then they could use that image forever.
And what if they use the same people over and over again?
Yes.
And also, like, you could put a person could be put into a movie that's a porno or something that they have and they would have no say.
They would have no consent over where their image is used.
And you could digitize their clothes off their body or something if you wanted to.
And there's no further compensation. So again, we're back to residuals. So those are just background actors, but like studios also want to make changes to like performers' dialogue without their consent. So an actor could sign up for a project and then AI could turn it into a completely different project.
Oh my God.
Again, it could be porn.
Well, that's the first thing that just popped in my head. But yeah, or if it was a white supremacist, pro-white supremacist theology, and that's not who you are. And background players make an important part of any movie. When they're good, you don't notice them.
Yes.
Exactly.
And by the way, you're right to go to porn, because whenever these new technologies come out,
porn is the first one.
Porn is the first one, always. They did it with with home movies and DVDs and
cameras,
all of it. Yes.
Yeah.
So Margot is smart. So writers and actors, the guilds, have asked for some guidelines and regulations around AI. Seems legit. And the AMPTP countered with, nah, how about we just have a meeting about it every year? That was like literally their response. It's like, no, bitch, we want regulation.
Because all meetings end in something productive, don't they?
No, yeah, we all know that. So why don't studios just pay their talent? The short answer is because they're greedy creeps. But so Netflix, Paramount, Warner Brothers, Fox, Disney, Comcast, they made combined like just billions of dollars. Writers' demands roughly amount to 600 million, I guess. It's like 2% of what all these companies make. There are people from the studios that are speaking to media off the record, I'll say. And they're saying like they just want to break the Writers Guild.
Yep.
They want to break it up. And their game is now they're waiting it out. And somebody actually said the end game is to allow things to drag on until union members start losing their apartments and losing their houses. It's fucked up. And they said to it, yeah, it's a cruel but necessary evil. It's not necessary.
It's not necessary. That's the thing. Capitalism is not something like has no end point. But that's what that's what we've all been fed our whole fucking lives.
Yes.
There's always more money to be made. You can always make more. And God forbid, you're... Ugh.
So their thinking is that as this drags on, as writers start losing their apartments and their houses and, can't pay their bills and things like that, that these writers will break from the union or bully the union to take whatever the studio offers them. This is what they think. Now, the AMPTP has said that these people don't speak for them, that is not true, that they're negotiating in good faith. But are they? And then on top of that, Bob Iger, who is Disney's CEO, comes out and he gives, some interview, and he's like, these expectations are just not realistic. He said he accused the strikers of, quote, adding to a set of challenges that this business is already facing that is quite frankly very disruptive and dangerous.
Oh, for fuck's sakes.
He made $50 million last year. $50 million. So
a year.
A year. Do you know who Adam Conover is?
No.
Okay, Adam Conover hosts this amazing show that has been on Netflix. It's called Adam Ruins Everything.
Yes, I do know Adam Conover. I'm sorry.
He's so smart and he's so funny.
Yes.
And he went on CNN and did an interview and just blasted the network CEO, which is David Zaslav, I think is how you pronounce it, right? So he runs like CNN, Discovery, Warner Brothers.
He runs too many things, so his idea is just smush them all together, and it'll make it easier for him, by the way.
Yes.
TMC, excuse me, he's destroying because he doesn't give a fuck
gross.
about movies. Fuck this guy.
No. He made $250 million
Which is
last year.
Revolting.
Revolting. It's $250 million, y'all.
Yes, that's revolt. Fuck him. And he won't pay writers.
Yes. So Conover was on CNN and he said, I would say if you're being paid $250 million, these companies are making enormous amounts of money. Their profits are going up. It's ridiculous for them to plead poverty.
And he was on one time, I think, and then they never had him on again.
They were like,
he's too smart.
He's super smart.
Yeah.
And if you haven't watched a show, y'all, you definitely should because it's legit great. I always learn so much. Here's a few more salaries for y'all because I'm sure you want to know. Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos made over $50 million last year. That's 32% increase over what he made the year before. Let's see. We already did Bob Iger. Here's another Disney CEO who made $32 million. Robert Murdoch, of course, himself made $31 million. Murdoch?
Yeah.
Rupert Murdoch?
Yeah.
What did I say?
I think you said Robert.
No. Well, whatever.
Fuck that guy.
Reed Hastings, the CEO of Netflix, he made $80 million. Comcast CEO Brian Roberts made $30 million. I also did some Googling to see how much these companies made. Netflix made $31 billion last year.
What? Billion?
Billion. We're talking billions,
in a year?
Y'all. Yes.
I didn't know it was that much. Oh my God.
Warner Brothers made almost $1 billion. Fox made $4 billion. NBC made $39 billion.
Oh my God.
Disney made $82 billion.
Oh my God. They can afford this.
According to the Google machine. Yes, they can afford this.
They're public companies, right? Of course, yeah.
They're fucking rich, y'all. They're rich.
Oh my! I'm gonna vomit. Oh my God!
It's so gross. So, media executive Barry Diller, he used to run like.
I know somebody worked for him.
Yeah,
yeah.
He used to run networks like Fox and USA. Now he runs something called IAC and like Expedia Media Group, and he's worth more than $4 billion. By the way, I Googled it. He went on Face the Nation and he said a prolonged strike will, quote, potentially produce an absolute collapse of an entire industry.
It should collapse if it makes that much and nobody can live on it. Fuck you.
Exactly. So then TV writer and creator David Simon, who is the man behind Homicide: Life on the Street, one of my all-time favorite cop shows, and
Amazing.
The Wire,
yep,
one of the best shows on television ever, he tweeted, then it needs to collapse.
Yeah.
If you can't figure out how to pay your workers a full living wage and share some profit while grossing billions, paying yourself hundreds of millions, and making Wall Street analysts happy with your numbers, your industry needs to be rubble.
Yeah. Salt the ashes.
Yes.
So nothing grows there again. Start over.
No. It's amazingly well said, and I think it's yet another example of why we need to pay writers. I'm going to wrap it up for us.
No. You keep going. I've got stuff, but I have stuff to add. So yeah.
Okay. If you're wondering why should this strike matter to me, I want to say that the entertainment industry is just like any other industry. So yes, like there's beautiful people. They walk the red carpets. Some of them have money. Some of them do not. We have Tom Cruise flying through the air going, go to the movies, you know. But it's also filled with
trigger word, Tom Cruise.
What?
My trigger word is Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
Me.
But this is also an industry that's filled with regular people doing regular work. and they deserve to be paid for it. You
They're
know,
working
big
class.
stars. Yeah, big stars, famous writers, directors, that's the rarity. That is not the norm. These industries are mostly made up of people who write scripts or act in shows in smaller parts, you know, and make commercials and, you know, or all these things. And it's all of this, by the way, is also impacting people who like build the props and sets, do the catering, drive people around, hair and makeup, costuming. They're all impacted by this strike. The CEOs of the entertainment unions, they make hundreds of millions of dollars. And again, like we said, these writers and actors in these unions, they don't even make the minimum necessary to get the health insurance to qualify.
That's
like
disgusting.
That's shitty and it's unfair, and they should be paid fairly for their work. And I think if we know that if we leave AI decisions to like tech companies and the people that invest in those tech companies,
right,
they will absolutely use it for evil, just saying. But they will use it to take money away from labor and put that money in the accounts of like executives and CEOs. Like, they don't give a shit about you, and your job does not love you back. Like, please
job don't love
that.
you back.
No. You said you had some things to say. I want to let you say them.
Well, I mean, a couple of things is that I was listening this morning on the radio, and James Hetfield of Metallica just said that people took his voice and started making records like I'm Still Standing, Elton John's song, but they did it with James Hetfield's voice.
Oh my God.
And he's saying like, and people are releasing this. And he's saying like, no, I didn't write this. The person who wrote it, Elton and Bernie, should get the money, but this shouldn't be just sent out into the universe. It's one thing if it's a goof, if somebody's doing satire, but they can do that with voices. You could put in like Jim Carrey's voice, put this in a cartoon, and boom, and then he doesn't. And I mentioned people who are millionaires, but fuck it, they've earned their millions. They worked their asses off to be where they are, and they started with nothing. I also want to mention that John Hamm was on Bill Maher's show podcast.
Ew.
I know.
Gross.
And John Hamm said to Bill Maher, Bill's like, you know, I'm empathetic to the writers, but, and then John Hamm said his exact words, they got to remember, it's not like we're digging ditches. You know, it's not like we're doing hard labor. No. John Hamm, where would he be without great writing? Where would he be?
Seriously.
Where would he be? Matthew Weiner didn't give you those scripts. Where would you fucking be? Right?
You would be digging ditches and breaking rocks.
Bill Maher hasn't written a funny thing in decades, so fuck that guy too. It takes a lot of work to write something. You and I are both writers. It is not easy. It's not supposed to be easy, but that's what makes it great. And it makes it, but it's hard work. Dealing with all these fucking assholes is hard work, and it's demeaning and it's tough. And when you're making 1%, and they're making 3,000%, that just creates the divide even more. It's damaging the culture. It's damaging the product. I want to mention Drew Carey is one of the good guys. He actually set up at a restaurant that anybody in the Writers Guild needs a meal, go there. And he picks up the tab, and it's like $15,000 a week that he's set aside for that, as long as the strike takes place. So there are a lot of people that are, They also, Barry Diller also said, well, I probably could take 50% less, but then all these actors have to take less too. And he's thinking like, all these people that are making that kind of money, and they're not making it now, by the way. It's like, that's in the before times. Like you said, it's a working class economy. It's middle class. That's what Hollywood was built on. And the entertainment industry. You could raise a family and pay your mortgage and not be a super famous rich person. You could just be a worker bee. You did the coloring at the cartoon place or whatever the jobs are. You could be in wardrobe, or you could be the personal assistant to somebody, or you watch the sets and manage the sets. People are asking to be treated like decent human beings. They're asking for water and proper breaks. They're asking, and also just, if something is like, I don't know, globally a phenomenon, you should make more than $800 from it. If it's like your talent and you wrote it. That's just to suck up to billionaires. You got to stop sucking up to these billionaires. They won't love you back. Elon Musk doesn't pay his fucking rent, but he'll give
Yes.
money to Andrew Tate.
Yes.
Right? He won't give it to you that spend your $8 for your
No.
blue check. He don't love
No.
you. He don't give a shit. He laughs in your fucking face.
He does. Absolutely.
And
They don't give a shit about you.
they don't. Zaslav, who gave a speech at his alma mater, and God bless all those students that turned their backs on him and said, pay your
Yeah.
writers. But he has the balls to like go out in public like, you could be like me. No, we can't.
No. And that's what a lot of people like. Let's even like you go to like a fucking Trump or whatever. These people are like, well, when I'm rich someday, I don't want to pay taxes or
Right.
whatever. So therefore we don't. And I was like, bitch, you're never going to be rich. You're not.
You're just not. It's capitalism isn't set up that way. It's
No.
just not. It's fucking infuriating. And I also say, Fran Drescher, when she gave her speech to having the SAG actors join, she said, they said, give us an extra couple of weeks. We're going to come up with some ideas and then we'll get back to you. So she gave them 2 extra weeks. And in that time, they canceled every meeting with SAG. But it was because they wanted all the actors from Barbie and Oppenheimer and Mission Impossible to go on the red carpets to promote their films because they wanted to, and it's like, and she's like, fool me once, I'm not taking,
Yeah.
I have a problem with her, like how she handled COVID and the actors
Yeah.
union. But that's neither here nor there right now. Like, let's
Yeah.
focus on
Right.
this. And it's labor. It's labor.
Yes.
And worry about Chat GPT. You think it's just some stuffy writer person who has no connection to
not.
reality. That's not it. You and I both know writers, and I made fun of your friend who's the Sharknado, but
Yeah.
he's working and he's making.
Yeah.
They're job creators
Yes.
because
He's made like 6 or 7 of those movies, by the way. He's not some rich dude.
Right.
He's not.
and
He's just a regular dude who's
Right.
like working a job.
and he employs other people who just
Yes.
want to work their job. Not everybody wants to be famous. Not everybody wants to be like, sure, we all want to be rich, but like the way the system is stacked up, and I'm paying this much a month for Hulu, for Max. I was watching Real Housewives of New York, and there's a woman named Jenna who's new, and they said she was
I
on a
watched
show on
it.
HBO Max. And I said,
Yes.
well, fuck, I want to watch that show now. They took it away. I
Yes.
pay a lot of money for Max every month, but they give me less than what I had.
Yes.
And they do that to Netflix. They do that all of them. They just take the money away. They get smaller and smaller. They combine with each other. It's fucked up. And they're charging
It's super
premium.
fucked up.
And they're going to say, well, then we're going to have to charge $50 a month now for Netflix or something. And if you don't like it, well, blame the actors and writers. They're seen as elites and feminine and not real workers and not real, and that's not the fucking case. Teamsters
It is-
are in the union.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Just fucking stop. Okay.
Just pay these people.
Pay these people. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yes. And by the way, if you don't, because now like the Barbie people and the Oppenheimer people are not walking the red carpet, you know who you get walking the red carpet? Fucking Matt Gaetz. You get Matt Gaetz and
Right.
his fucking bimbo wife walking the red carpet. They don't even like Barbie.
No.
I'm like, they shit all over it after they saw it. Like, and I was like, fuck those people. And I was like, fuck whoever invited those people too. By
well,
the way.
fuck them. Yes.
Like, it's so messed up. Like, just pay these people what they're worth. Like, pay them a living wage. Like, they're not even asking for
they're not
millions.
asking for a lot. And you tell those numbers. I understand when I'm paying, like when I pay for my Spotify every month, versus I don't pay for iTunes, but the Spotify, I'm like, that goes to the artists and the people I listen to. It's not
Right.
like I bought a Van Halen album, and then I can just put that music on anything that I do and I don't have to pay them. Like,
Right.
no, you don't own the song forever. I mean, people are making these weird, and
Yeah.
it's bullshit. It's total fucking bullshit. All right, Sonia.
Yes. Well, we want to mention that there
Yes,
are
we do.
things,
Poof.
and I put links in the show notes for people if you want. There's an entertainment community fund. You can click on it and donate to that. There's also something called the snack list, which is something that provides like food and beverages and stuff like that to the strikers in Los Angeles specifically. So I went ahead and put that link in the show notes as well.
I wanted second all of that. I want to say people in all the cities. Chicago had a big rally yesterday. New York is having a strike every day. Wherever you are, if you're near a big city, there's a strike happening. And also, UPS is probably going to go on strike soon. But like the truck drivers that were driving by were honking their horns. They're completely, they support labor. And just you could find out where they are near you, and you could join in.
Yeah,
if you want
unions, y'all.
We need the unions. They don't love us. The jobs don't love us.
If you have medical benefits through your job, if you have dental, like all that stuff, it's because of a union.
Exactly.
Y'all.
Exactly.
Like,
I don't know. I mean, I work freelance, and I look at, sometimes I see gigs people offer me, or they'll say, oh, go to LinkedIn. There's this thing you should see. You'd be perfect. And it's like all these things they want from a person. And they'll say, oh, it's like 25, 30 hours a week. And it's this much an hour. And it's like, no, it's not. It's not going to take me that. I know. And it's because they're being.
And they're not going to pay you.
No.
And they're not going to cover, and you're not going to get those help. And I mean, we could do a whole other episode about how it's fucked up that you need a job to cover your health and medical benefits and all those things, like, because our system here is so broken. But like, unions are to protect us from abuse. And again, the writer, Hollywood actors are very beautiful, and it looks like it's all glamorous and stuff, but those people are the rarity. This is a lot of working people. Or even the actors who like aren't necessarily even the stars of the shows, but like, and a lot of these shows, by the way, aren't filmed in Hollywood, so they're like relocated to like Vancouver or Atlanta or whatever, and they give them like this tiny little stipend to live on, while they're still like paying mortgages and rent and things like that in LA and supporting their families. So like, there's a lot of stuff going on here.
There is. And I also put in a link. Jen Kirkman, she's a comedian that I love. I put a link into her website, but she's got a bunch of places you can donate and explaining what's going down. And then also on the WGA, WGA contract2023.org, they have a social media toolkit. And they got these cool graphics you can put on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever your social media thing is. Yeah. And you could just show your solidarity that way. I mean, all these ways, and they see it. They're going to, they do see this. When they see that, like, people are really supporting them, they're going to have to figure this out. And we're just talking about living wages for people. Jesus Christ. Not even $26,000 a year.
Yeah.
It's
so
appalling.
So fucking greedy.
It's so fucking greedy. I know. And they're letting some productions, and I don't know what the deal is, but I know Tom Cruise asked for an exemption so he could do more promotion for Mission Impossible. And they're like, nah, you could show up on, one of our strike lines. That would be kind of cool, maybe. And show. Yeah. But he's a company man to the.
He's such a company man.
Bitter end. He will not ever. Oh, how do you feel? I know. Well, we've got your back, all y'all, and
yes,
we will support you. We're not strike breakers. We have somebody, Angela, posted in our Facebook group. It's a great meme of the nanny, where the nanny wouldn't cross the picket line when Mr. Sheffield took her someplace fancy. But just think about that. I mean, think about the people, why they're going on strike and what they're really asking for. And it's nothing fucking crazy. I mean,
it is. God. It's easy to joke about, like, no, they're actors and writers and they're so entitled.
They're all woke and blah, 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 blah. Like,
yeah.
There's plenty of content for everybody, and everyone should be paid a living wage to do it for their work. That's what we're asking for. So, all right, everyone. So, like I said, this is a little bit different than we normally do, but please support all those that are on strike. And if you have ideas for creeps and non-creeps, all those places I mentioned at the top of the show, you can send us your suggestions and ideas. We love it. We use the Annie Potts gift. We got one from Ghostbusters, or you can be just like super clever and do something on your own. And our email, once again, is whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. If you like the sound of our voices, and we don't yell as much on our other podcasts, it's more in laughter. But we co-host a show called Dorking Out, where we dork out about movies. What did we just talk about?
Oh, what did we? I know we did Total Recall, and then we did, oh my God, what did we do?
Total Recall.
Zodiac. Oh my God.
Zodiac. Sorry. We just did Zodiac. Yes. We're covering another one. It's Punchline. I've been looking at clips online. I'm going to watch that this weekend.
It's going to be so fun.
Oh my God. That's the Sally Field, Tom Hanks classic.
Stand-up comedy movie from 88, right?
From 88. Yeah. Tom Hanks gives this is an Asian man giving a tour of New York City bit. That's like, wow.
Oh my God. Oh, I knew this movie wasn't. Oh, I knew I was going to have thoughts.
Yeah, just bracing for that. But that's on our next episode. We're recording that a little bit later because we both got stuff going on this weekend. It's summer,
It's summer, y'all.
We got to get out. And Sonia, where can they find you?
You can find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Twitter, Instagram, the TikTok, the Threads, wherever you are. The Sonia Show is there. My friend, where can they find you?
I am at Brooklyn Fitchick is my Instagram, my Threads, and that is my site. All the shows are posted there. My Twitter right now is Brooklyn Margot, just as long as Twitter's a thing. Elon Musk, I'm sure. It's just like, fuck that chick. But anyway.
Yeah.
TikTok, I'm at my name, Margot Donahue, and I put lots of movie clips on there and fun things. Instagram, I post pictures of my cats. They're adorable. All right, everyone. Stay safe, stay cool, support your unions. Don't be a creep.
Be a creep. Thank you.